Troglodyte warning. There seems to be a real rift in the far right YouTube space with figures like Paul Forbes, who's kind of going back and forth with his support for reform. You have June Slater, who's a bit more pragmatic, a bit more experienced. She kind of knows you have to play the game. And then you have Paz, who's a bit, upset with Nigel Farage. And then today, Andy the Gabby Cabby. He's kind of an embodiment, I think, of just people are sick of Nigel Farage's kind of playing the game, and I think they're a bit naive to what party politics is. So let's get straight into the video because Tommy Robinson is going to be and remains the thorn in Nigel Farage's side, and this isn't going away anytime soon. He's a political prisoner. He isn't. And he's in there for a while now, so they're going to milk that. They're going to really play on that. So let's get straight into the video.
This situation when Nigel Farage is rolling on, and he's coming out with comments not only about some very astute political problems, but also making comments and remarks, some of which the victims or targets of those remarks have proven to be false. And every time he does, people jump on the bandwagon and start and having a go back. And all this does is fracture the side of the argument where we want reform. And you have to ask yourself, what's bigger, the man or the cause? Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're well. Thank you for joining me again. Now, I've got a long memory as far as dear Nigel Farage goes back at least 10 years. Obviously, he's been around a wee little bit longer than that. And I did a video yesterday where you can actually listen to my 10-year memory of Nigel Farage, where his actions touched the area that I live in. And what happened as a result, it wasn't only once, it was twice. And I relay my disappointment as to the outcome, because all I've ever wanted is political reform. That means a complete clear out of the Uni Party. That means a complete start again of the whole Westminster system. It simply does not work. And I think we can all agree on that. Just before I hit the record button,
I think that's something I agree on. It's quite naive, maybe, and ambitious, but yeah, I agree with that.
on this this video, I saw a thing that Paz put up. I suggest you go and check. And I thought, did he really say that? Oh, my good God. He's just coming out with clanger after clanger after clanger. It's almost like either he wants an out, he wants to self-destruct reform, or he quite simply just doesn't care or can't see it. It's not only Tommy, it's loads of stuff. Now, what I wanted to do with this is read back some of your remarks, because it's very important. At the end of the day, it affects me, it affects you, it affects everybody. And I wanted to see what you had to say. So without further ado, here we go. Now, this is from Chrissy, UK. Andy, I don't know if you've seen this interview. It kind of puts things into perspective a bit more. The massive uphill battle any party that wins the next general election will have to save our country. It's going to take more than a leader and his party to change the system. They're going to need a small army of people if they want to save the country. Tommy and Farage are not going to see eye to eye, but they both have a big role to play in our future. As Liz said, she would like to see a better organised movement like the mega movement, make England great again. I'm with you there. A job for Tommy to sink his teeth in, don't you think? We're going to have to look past the clickbait media asking questions about Tommy. It was only a few weeks ago. They wouldn't even mention his name. So what are they up to, hounding Farage with questions about Tommy all the time? Getting annoyed about it is not going to achieve anything good. Neither is jumping ship. Having seen the interview, it's as clear as day. UKIP is not up to the job. I'm sticking with reform. You know, you've got to...
And this indicates the split between reform base. Like, they know their only hope to really get seats is Farage. He's charismatic. He's experienced, he's pragmatic, but this Tommy thing ain't going away. And there's a huge support for Tommy Robinson. Again, political prisoner. He wrote, he made this documentary. It's been banned. And in many ways, it's like a perfect summary of this kind of victim mentality on the right that, oh, they're a victim of lawfare. He's being censored. He's being a political prisoner. He's in solitary confinement. It fits so perfectly with their narrative. And Farage doesn't want anything to do with it. It's amazing to see. I'm really happy with this.
Decide here, are you sticking with Nigel Farage or are you sticking with Reform? We are fast running out of time and we have to make a choice what the important thing is. Can you support a party where you have the leader of that party quite obviously misfiring in all directions? It's a very important choice to make. And, you know, you talk about Tommy and you look at any of those rallies. I think there's another one coming up at the beginning of February, isn't there? How many supporters, how many potential voters could you turn away by pissing them off with outlandish remarks such as we've had? It's bad, really bad. Anyway, let's have a look at the next comment. Bernard, Farage is leader of Reform because he owns the biggest shareholding in the party. I'm afraid Farage is showing his true colours. The rift between the Reform MPs and the voters is widening due to the stance of Tyson Farage's views on TR. Ben Habib told the truth when he quit Reform, and I think he would make a better leader. I mean, I get you, but the problem is he's not an MP, is he? Lee Anderson amazed me when he commented on TR, especially knowing the area he represents just a few miles up the road from me, and the fact that Maggie T fought and cheated the Nottingham miners out of their jobs, and Lee supports the ex-mining community. Like you, Andy, Farage pulled the best candidate Brexit had from my constituency to let the cons win. TR is grassroots, a man of the people. He is locked up to prevent him from uniting the grassroots people, and the more they criticise him, the more supporters he gains. TR brought the grooming gangs to the eyes of the British people, and that load of disgusting morons who call themselves representatives of the people should be disowned by their constituents. Sack the lot. Yeah, I mean, the thing is with the movement with regard to TR, as you put it, the bigger the movement, it will run on its own. If you remember, he was forbidden from attending the last rally, or he couldn't make it because he was arrested, or I can't quite remember the facts, so I won't comment sooner. But I know he was detained at a Kent police station. Thousands turned out anyway, so there's no stopping it. No stopping it. As for Tice, Farage, you could be right. You really could. Christine Murphy,
On Rupert Lowe, he seems to be the one that's kind of supporting Tommy, and Farage ain't going to be happy about this because when you've got 5 MPs and already one of them's not toeing the line, it doesn't bode well for the kind of coherence and discipline of the party. And again, will he go? I think Rupert Lowe will be kicked out if he continues the way he is.
I can back Reform, and I think I could trust Rupert Lowe. He's my favourite MP by far. He's doing the job correctly. And if he came back, Ben Habib, but I fear Nigel Farage, my gut feeling is I don't trust him. And under him, Richard Tyson, Lee Anderson seem to be towing the party line, which I never thought I would see. I think Reform are the only hope, but don't think what you see is what you get. And personally,
that's the thing. They are naive. They're part of Westminster now. They've got to adhere to the rules. They've got to play the game. They've got to, their media scrutiny. The media loves them because they are clickable, divisive, whatever. So, yeah, if they want to professionalize, they got to play by the rules. They can't just, they're kind of not in a way and they're becoming a laughingstock. But yeah, they got to play by the rules.
I think Farage will do a deal with the Conservatives again when he comes out as PM. Let's just call it feeling in the water. That worries me because you do see people jumping ship, don't you? You do see people jumping ship, and you've got to think to yourself, what's going on here? Now, what I have time for is the grassroots politicians right at the ground level. Noel Wilcox being one of them. I mention him again and again. You know, normal people need to come into this. Normal people need to help reform it. Otherwise, it's never going to change. Never going to change.
That ain't happening with Farage at the helm. He is the controller, he is the captain, and he is the party. If he goes, which they a lot of them want him to go, like Elon Musk saying he's not, and people are, I think, turning on Farage slowly. Ever since the rejection of the mass deportations, now we have Tommy. What's the next crisis? There will be one, and where will they be in a year? I think it's a lot could happen.
The Bad's 1962. Watch the Peter McCormack and Liz Truss interview. You need to stop knocking reform, or the next government will be an Islamist one.
That's insane. That's an insane thing to say.
I don't knock reform. I never have knocked reform. I want to get behind reform. I want to support reform. And what I really have a problem with is the way the mainstream media are running away with the narrative. They're just throwing the same question again and again. Tommy Robinson, and they're getting a bite.
It's an important question. This guy is a criminal. He kicked a police officer in the head. Mortgage fraud, passport fraud, contempt of court, libel. I mean, by any standard, any politician would be asked questions about someone like this. He is a very divisive figure. He is controversial in any way you frame it. So the idea that Tommy Robinson, again, is this like political prisoner, a folk hero, is just simply not true. So watch my last video if you haven't on Tommy Robinson, and I'll see you in the next video.